Hello, everybody. Welcome to the United Stand. It is the Thursday night show. We're obviously looking ahead towards another game against Everton, a big game for both clubs this weekend. But obviously, the biggest news is coming out of Manchester United. And tell me you didn't get a little bit excited last night, people, when Agent 47 from the Hitman film was announced, or nearly announced, as our new manager coming in. It's almost there. The noises are there. There's no smoke without fire. This is blazing right now from what we're being told. So it is looking good, everybody. We've got loads to discuss on Ten Hag and everything else that's going on with United. Joining me tonight, Holly, back on again. Good to see you on. Loving that United top you've got on there. How's your day been, Holly? Must have been an exciting one compared to how it's been over the last few weeks.
Yeah, much better day today. I'm honestly buzzing all day. Every time I kind of get a bit downbeat at work, I just have a quick look on Twitter and reminded again that he's coming our way. So, yeah, very positive today for a change. It feels like it's the first time I've been positive in months, but...
Yeah, that's it. That's it, Jordan. It was a refresh night last night, wasn't it, mate?
He was literally on the edge of the seat. I was waiting for the here we go, but I think I know the reasons why we can't get it. Normally when I'm sat here, I've got a coffee with a little dash of Baileys because I'm usually stressed. Tonight it's a peppermint tea because I'm chilled. Chilled vibes, guys.
Chilled night. This is my man. I'm going to go into it now. This is going to tell you how the mood is with the United fan base right now. Kev, how are you, mate? You okay?
There we go. That's the one. It's there. Don't you worry, man. Don't you worry. The part of me is holding back slightly. I think Jordan's right. Until sort of Romano says them 3 words, here we go, then we can get really excited. But I think there's too many of what you would class as the sort of top journalists and that they're all singing from the same hymn sheet now. But part of me does think only Manchester United could now sort of like go against this decision, which I think would be absolute uproar. But no, I'd be absolutely delighted. It's a bit like when we're supposedly signing a player. You know, I always say until I see him on the pitch with the scarf up, the shirt in hand and all that. But it's looking good, man. It's looking good. Yeah. I'm excited.
Jordan, let's crack into it, mate. I mean, we've been talking about it, the possibilities, this, that, if he comes in, ifs and buts, mate. But now it's looking pretty much done. Like Kev just said then, too many sort of big journalists already putting it out there. Like Mark said last night, well, you're going to die on this sword if you're going to put news like this out. And you know what? Knowing that is sort of there now, we're looking ahead, I think all of us, towards Ajax's season sort of finishing. That's when we're expecting some form of like official sort of announcements, pictures and whatnot. But what's your sort of feeling right now, mate? Is it like one of, I forgot we're even still playing a season right now because of the fast forwarding of this announcement that's taken us into next season, because we know we can't see anything till next season? Or are you like, settle down, let's just get this season done with. Let's see where we finish in the league first, see if that determines how much money can be spent and where we go going forward. Where are you at with it right now, mate? How are you feeling about everything?
Yeah, I promised myself after many moons ago the Ronaldinho thing to never get excited until the deal was actually done. That broke my heart. And like Kev just said, until they hold in the shirt, there's always that risk. But you're right, all the right noises are being made. That this is the route we're going to go down. I'm hoping it gives the players a kick up the backside, that they're going to know the new manager, who it is, and they're going to be watching these last 8 games of the season, however many it is, and they go out there with a point to prove. We've still got something to play for, pride, the future of playing in our shirt. So I really hope it does lift the players. There's some of those players, like as we know, have mentally checked out. There's other those players that are hoping to have a future at the club. So yeah, it is good. There is definitely a feel-good factor. I think you've got to give a little bit of credit to the board for making the right decision. I think a lot of things I'm reading since last night is, well, they had to do this, they had to do that. Well, let's be honest. There's been a lot of things they've had to do in the past, and they didn't do them. So it would have been very easy for them to have still gone with Poch, and the whole fan base would have been up in arms. But it looks like they're making the right decision. That's only 50% of it. Now what we need is for them to go and back the manager to make those changes, and hopefully, Ten Hag can put his touch on the team.
Yeah, do you reckon, Holly, that's going to have an effect now on these players? We've said, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, an announcement sooner would be better, because it made us, like Jordan said, just creep into the mindsets of these players towards the rest of the season. Now we may actually see a little bit more of a performance from these players that have, well, we all know they've down tools, but looking ahead, do you think that might actually happen now? Because I'm guessing the players would have been told if it is actually happening, and now they can see the future of Manchester United. Get on board, and we're about to see in these next 8 games, if anything, Holly.
Yeah, well, they should have been. They should have been wary of, obviously, that we're having a new manager coming in anyway, so they should have been playing for that. But now that we've actually got one nailed down, like us fans, they're going to be more positive. They're going to hopefully be playing for Ten Hag to keep them, because they all let on that this is their dream club and this is the club they want to play for. So now is their time to show what they're worth and show whether they are worthy of Ten Hag picking them, because he will hopefully weave out the bad. And I'm happy for any of them to go on if it helps the club. So hopefully, yeah, they do start to pick their heads up a little bit and start showing what they're worth.
That's it. I mean, a lot of big games to show it as well, Kev, really. I mean, we'll go through the players in this show in terms of what we actually expect, in terms of how Ten Hag actually plays his system and who we think might fit in, who do we get rid of and replace him with. But this is it now, Kev. Final running, last chance. Show us what you've got. And, well, I'm guessing he's already talking and he's already eyeing up certain players in the team. But it is an opportunity for him now. They know the manager coming in. If, like we know, all the rumours that have been leaked out in terms of what he's actually negotiating in his contract and how much power and what he wants to bring to the club, if we know, the players are probably going to know through their agents, because obviously agents know everything, Kev. So it's time to knuckle down or get that agent on the phone. Get out of there, Kev. Because it's what we all want to see, really. It's sink or swim.
It will be Erik Ten Hag's way or the highway for me. And a lot of these players for the last 3 years or whatever that have had it probably a bit cushy, a bit too cushy for Manchester United, something we've probably not been too used to and accustomed to. But we get a manager in that, for me, has to be given total control. I don't think any Manchester United post Sir Alex Ferguson has been given total control. It's time to claim that back. This manager needs this 4 or 5 years that he's getting. What we don't need is idiots on social media after, if he loses his first game, Ten Hag out and all this. We can't be deluded. We are, we're under no illusion as to the task in hand. The managers that have come in have had the same problems. And Ten Hag, he has to be given control. I think we need to get away from the old guard. You know, Darren Fletcher sat on the bench. We need to get rid of that. Even Mike Phelan, God love him. I just see him as part of the old regime. We need new thinking, a manager to come in now with his new ways. I heard Rennie Mullenstein mentioned as a possible number 2. And you could say that is kind of the old guard. I don't know how true that story is, but obviously there's also stories about possibly Robin van Persie could be part of the setup as well. And it sounds like I'm kind of contradicting myself there, but for me, it's the main point is that Erik Ten Hag is given total control, because I don't think a lot of these managers have had it. I think they've had players pushed on them. I think Ed Woodward was a bit headstrong. I think he signed players basically because he wanted to make a statement, just to make himself look good, because the pressure was on him. We're not at that point now. Erik Ten Hag will know the players he wants. They might not be big name players, but we've tried that. We've tested it and it's not worked. So I'm certainly excited. I really am excited. But as Jordan says, it's a great one then, because I was thinking about Ronaldinho as well. And I'm old enough to remember Alan Shearer. My dad coming home and saying, Kev, he's bought the house. He's been looking around Audley Edge. It's a done deal. And as a kid at school, I was like, imagine Cantona and Shearer up front. We're going to rule for the next 10 years. And it didn't happen. So that's why I don't want to get my fingers burnt again, man.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Kev. The days when we didn't have social media.
Teletext,
them days.
Teletext, man.
Teletext. That was it. It took about 5 minutes for the score to come up, didn't it? Page 4. Oh, God's sake. Yeah. Why do we have to be playing someone with the letter Y in their team today? It takes ages to bloody turn around.
I've never seen anyone look so lost. Holly's like, teletext. What's
Yeah,
that?
I'll just laugh and go along with that.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, what are these old farts talking about here?
Yeah.
Never mind. But on that, I mean, Holly, once this was sort of coming around into mainstream media last night, you obviously get a lot more people talking, a lot more people in the know, and it was very interesting to listen to like the history of Ten Hag and like people who didn't know that he idolizes Pep Guardiola, he worked alongside him at Bayern Munich, and all the history and how he wants that style of football, that attacking football, the Johan Cruyff style. We'll score we'll score a goal more than you. It's not about controlling the game in terms of not conceding with him. It's like controlling the game by attacking. Now, it's all music to our ears. It really is, Holly. But it's like we thought this was going to happen several times with different managers. It's quite key now that this negotiation that Hag and his people are obviously having, that he has got full control of what he does. Someone just said in the message there, will he have the power to take the captaincy off Harry Maguire? Will he have the power to dislodge some of these big names? First of all, Holly, that attacking style football, yes, and that power and control is massive for that to even happen, though, isn't it? Because some of them players can't play that style of football.
Well, I am 100% behind Ten Hag, and I know the fan base. I feel like this is the most united that the fan base has been since, I can't even remember since how long, because we're all on the same wavelength. There's very little people that are upset and wanted Pochettino, but I'm so happy with how things are going at the moment with us fans. And to be fair, I know that we haven't been picking up the best results in recent games, but very little of the blame from the fan base is going on Rangnick. A lot of the blame is going on the players. How many different managers have we had with some of the same players that are just not improving? They're not playing. And it's more than just talent as well that we're seeing as fans. It's heart and energy and laziness that just, exactly like you said, Adam, just down in tools. So us fans aren't stupid. We know that Rangnick is talent, has the good tactics and stuff. We know where he's onto a good thing in regards to his footballing brain. So we know it's the players at the moment. We know they've just given up for the rest of the season. So we will, I think, be as patient as we have been, like at the most patient we've been with Ten Hag, because he is the guy we all want. He is. And I think we're at a point now where we will wait. And I just really, really hope, like you guys said, that we just are just patient. We give him years. I know it will take a while, but that's the most important thing for us now, is to play our part and just get behind him for as long as he needs us to.
I think the one thing with that, from what we've seen, is someone who won't be patient with him is a lot of these ex players.
On that, Jordan, actually, mate, I was going to bring you in on exactly that, but I know you probably was watching when Gary Neville was talking about this, and Gary Neville actually, obviously, the big advocate of Pochettino and everything, like the ex-player sort of thing. But interesting listening to him say, and he actually put a tweet out, didn't he? A poll: Ten Hag or Pochettino? Let's just see what it is. And his man got absolutely blown out of the water. He said he could not believe it. 350,000, I think it was. Over 80% of the fan base went in on Ten Hag, and that was on Gary Neville's poll.
I know.
And you should have seen his face talking about it. Oh my God! But Jordan, you're right, mate. That's coming to roost now. These players are actually having to realise what's happening, and that's what we need to change, isn't it?
We do, but they are a voice that can easily sway certain elements of the fan base. And you can guarantee if we lose a game or two, they'll be the first ones that will jump on it. Should have went for Poch. Wayne Rooney's come out and back Poch. Even Paul Ince said it, on with Mark, because it's who they know. It's who they're familiar with. And some people are sometimes scared of the unknown. But us as fans who live and die with the team week in, week out, have looked into it. We've done our research, and we really like the look of Ten Hag. And there is no guarantees that it's going to work. But if it doesn't work, let it not work because he's tried and it hasn't worked. Let's not let it work because his hands have been tied behind his back, behind the board, and he hasn't been able to implement the changes that he wants to make. And you hear some of the things that have come out today with him saying that he wants to be able to move players on if he doesn't think they're good enough, regardless of their names and reputation and whatnot. And for me, I read straight between the lines and thought, he's on about Harry Maguire here. I don't know if anyone else thought that, but it was just the way it read was like, regardless of price tags, regardless of reputations, if they're not good enough, I want to be able to move them on. Now, if he's then to go and sign a 20, 30 million pound centre-back, they come in and they become one of our best centre-backs at the club, and Harry surplus the requirements, then he should be allowed to move him on. And you look at and everything you read about him as a person, in terms of Ten Hag, he definitely is a strong enough character to come into the club and say, this isn't my captain. You know, this isn't my centre-back. So, you know, I hope he's allowed to make those decisions.
I hope he comes in and just zeroes everyone on in terms of talent and United energy and United like DNA and everything. Just zero it all. Just go from scratch and start again. Right, everyone on get yourself a little clipboard or something. Just write everyone's names and go from there, because we can't have any of that. I just want him to start from scratch.
Oh, no, it's great. It's actually, you actually start thinking, don't you, when you start seeing signs and you're seeing pictures of how many youth players are actually training with the first team right now, and you're going, I just wonder if he's like, just go on, end of the season, apparently got nothing to play for. Let's ruffle a few feathers. Let's put these kids in amongst the first teamers, eh? Looking at Garnacho in the matchday squad. Look at him playing alongside. I'm looking at Hannibal talking to Eric Bailly. I'm going, oh my, I'm just having a good week right now. I really am. Just seeing them pictures in the news. But Kev, on his own, it's going to be too much, mate. You touched on that second in command there with him, the team that he's bringing in. He's going to need a strong second man. Now, there's been plenty of rumours. You just mentioned Mullenstein there. I don't think there'd be many who would go against the Mullenstein shout, to be honest, Kev. But another man, ex-United second in command, Wally with a brolly, Mr. McLaren, mate. I mean, the guy's got credit as a coach. The guy knows the club. I mean, has worked in Holland as well, knows that game. For you, though, Kev, personally for you, if you're looking at a second in command right now, what sort of characteristic are you looking for? Who sort of meets that characteristic for you and what we need where we're at right now, and with Ten Hag coming in?
Ideally, it really is down to Ten Hag who he chooses. And I know that sounds like a silly kind of answer to that, but I think we're all talking about Ten Hag being headstrong. It has to be somebody that he wants and identifies. I must say, I was quite taken aback when I heard Steve McLaren, I was going to say Steve, as he used to say in his finger, Steve McLaren, was kind of linked to it, because at the minute, there's so many names being thrown in there. But at the same time, I mean, Steve McLaren was part of the setup when Manchester United had that famous season back in '99. And apparently, and it is a long time ago, but even at the time, I remember the players saying he was quite revolutionary at the time, some of the training methods, and he gave the team a lift when he come in. Now, that's 20 odd years ago. You know, you could look at it and say it's 20 years more experience, and it is a number two. He's not the main person who's going to be making the calls. Very surprised to see that one, but I'm sure there's going to be loads of other rumours, isn't there, as regards to who could be the right-hand man for Ten Hag. If it is him, fingers crossed.
I mean, Jordan, he's a coach-type manager, so would you need that sort of coach-style number two, or would you like that hand that's going to support that voice more than anything? Because like I said before, he's a disciple of the Pep type of football, working under him. He knows what he wants from his team, and he'll know what he wants on a training ground. So would it look at a number two as someone like just to reinforce his message rather than take the training session per se?
Yeah, I think it's about him having someone that he trusts alongside him. For me, when I seen the McLaren thing, is the initial thing is you do think of the whole Wally with a brolly thing, but I actually don't think, I'm not totally against it, in the sense that it's somebody who knows the league, they know the opposition inside out, and that could be somebody that he can trust. And I think that's important when you're taking on a challenge as big as this. It is, we are a much bigger club than Ajax. There's going to be elements to the job that are going to be completely alien to him, and he's going to have somebody that he can rely on. So yeah, I think you're right in what Kev's saying. It has to be whoever Ten Hag wants, and it can't be Darren Fletcher's been forced upon him, or somebody from within the club has been forced upon him. He has to build a team that he can rely on, and they've got that understanding that they know all the challenges ahead of them.
It's getting rid of the kind of old furniture, as I would say, and it sounds really, really disrespectful, but what I was trying to say earlier, the likes of Mike Phelan, you know, it's just kind of clinged onto this job by the skin of the teeth kind of thing. And the fact, again, you know, we've seen this story about Darren Fletcher having an argument with a fan in the ground at the weekend during the Leicester game. And you're like, you know, I think some fans are like, why is Darren Fletcher on the bench next to Rangnick? You know, what is his role at Manchester United?
I mean,
and
to be fair,
are they part of the problem?
On that, I'll defend Darren Fletcher in a way, because he did come out when the quarterly figures were in, and when everyone else was doing their sort of one time where they have to talk. No, they don't want to, but they have to communicate. Darren Fletcher did come out and explain his actual role, and the fact that Ralph really couldn't get enough of his team in through visa issues at the time and whatnot. And Fletcher was just brought in to integrate as someone who knew. He actually owned up and said that, Darren Fletcher. He did talk about it, but I do believe that Fletcher will be going straight back to his actual title role that he is, which is that director of football, whatever you want to call it, footballing director. They've got like 8 names for him now, haven't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently he's involved in the interviewing process as well. And if he is out of sight up there, it looks like he's doing a good job. And his role is bringing in youth or in charge of that or interviewing people, and it works out, fair enough. But I do believe strongly that we won't be seeing Darren Fletcher on that dugout next season.
Can I just ask a question just on that? Where does Darren Fletcher get off interviewing for the Man United manager?
This is it. This conversation came up today, actually, Jordan, and it was like, what experience have Murto and Fletcher got in this whole process? So then you've got to look at it and go, well, this football club has got itself into this state, whereas these are the two that are actually in these roles at the moment when we need a manager, you could say. So the Glazers, because they're the ones who employ the staff. And they're employing people to pick the managers, aren't they?
Yeah.
Talk about the blind leading the blind.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, can you just imagine what kind of interview them two are putting together?
It's crazy.
I mean,
and Darren Fletcher, right? He would be the ex-legends of Manchester United, as you just spoke about, the likes of Gary Neville, Rio Ferdinand, whatever, even Wayne Rooney recently banging the Pochettino drum. Does anybody? We all know for a fact that Darren Fletcher is going to be influenced and listening to them voices coming out, these ex-legends, which I do think is part of the problem sometimes. Instead of, why would you take, you know, Gary Neville's opinion on who the next Manchester United manager should be? It baffles me sometimes. It really does.
There's no reason. There's no reason. He's got no qualification to pick a manager. He's sacked 7. So
he wasn't a great manager himself, was he?
And that's in the lower leagues. But you got to look at it and you got to go, right, okay, as far as I can see, Murto and Fletcher moved into their roles last season and their main job last season with Ollie in charge. Nothing they could do with that. That wasn't their decision that Ollie was there. He was already there. So their job from that point was buying Ronaldo, Sancho and Varane. I went, decent start, lads. No problem. Decent values, decent money. I think this role has to be judged after a man's been in it for a certain amount of time, like this manager coming forward now. So really, should we be judging these two after 3 or 4 years? And let's see if their fruits of their label actually have come to the fore. And we've actually got a team in place, a new system, a new style. The manager's got it working. So should we sort of wait on it and see? I know it doesn't sound right at the moment, like Jordan said, blind leading the blind. We don't even know, do it? Because we don't know the qualifications of anyone at Manchester United right now, apart from a lot of them have just been involved in the financial side of things, in banking. And we're part of the system that actually bought the Glazers, this football club, back in the day, and are still there now. So that's the scariest bit for me. But Fletcher, I think, is taking a rap for everyone at the moment by the sounds of it. But I think he, even bouncing from pillar to post, doesn't know where he's coming or going right now either.
The stories that have come out this week, I 100% believe are true, where it said that voices had come out of Old Trafford, as it always says in these news articles, that they preferred Pochettino over Eric Ten Hag because he was more charismatic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so what? So we're going for somebody with charisma. Does that win you league titles? Does that build a new club? Does that build you back to where you want to be? Lay the foundations in the next few years for a club that could be back challenging for Premier League titles, Champions League titles? Charisma. I couldn't believe what I was reading. And so they're taking interviews and they were more on Pochettino's side because he was more charismatic.
Yeah,
and that tells you everything. Manchester United are looking for this kind of pin-up person to put out, look great, talk a great game. We want Eric Ten Hag, don't we?
Wait, I wanted to ask a question about that, because I read that saying that he was charming and all this nonsense. But I was under the impression they didn't actually meet face to face because he's obviously contracted to PSG and they didn't give their permission, so he met with his representatives. So why was he so engaging and charismatic and all that? Like, I don't really get it. I think you talk about the people who are interviewing and selecting. You can understand why they were so keen to get Pochettino. You can imagine him in a Mercedes advert for the club and the watch advert and the suit advert and all that jazz. So from a marketing point of view, he would have fit the bill. And this is what I said at the beginning, like, you've got to give the board some level of credit, because in the past where we've turned around and said they have to do this, they had to get rid of Ollie, long before they did, and they didn't. They had to give Ten Hag the job, but they actually didn't. They could have went with Poch. So I am glad. And regardless of the fact 80-90% of the fan base are voting for him, I think after the Liverpool game, it would have been the same. They wanted Ollie gone, but they didn't. They give him more time. So, we have got to give them a little bit of credit. They've made a decision now. They were backed against the wall and they had to make.
Yeah, welcome to the members club, Johan and Yaz from earlier on. Do drop down into the description part of this video if you do want to know anything about joining the United Stand as a member. That is all there. I think one of the first links in the top there. But it's like the inmates run the asylum, Holly, isn't it? If you're asking and the players are being asked what they think of the next manager, then your club is just going to be running into the grounds. I don't care what the players think. You just do your job, yeah? And then let the manager come in and do his job. You shouldn't even have a say, but it is a case that we've got to this stage. And like Kevin Jordan was just saying there, I mean, charismatic, Pochettino. Well, I don't know where they're seeing that, because I'm not even seeing that from him now. I mean, in terms of actually looking the part, I think Ten Hag wears a suit better as well, to be honest. But I don't what are they looking at? What's the characteristics that this club want from a manager, Holly? It's like Jordan and Kev just said then, sometimes you actually come to think and go, oh, Jesus, football is second.
He's just such a professional. He just, in every aspect of his game, he's just so like, his team is just, it's absolutely drilled into his team what to do. And there's so many different ways of, the biggest thing for me is he has so many ways around how a team sets up. Like, it's going to be difficult, him obviously coming into the Premier League, because most of the lower teams in the league do set up with a low block. So because he has so many different ways of breaking through teams, that is what gives me hope, because he will see this. He'll already know what a low block is, because it's not like that Ajax have never faced a team that's going to camp out all defensive. He has found ways around that before, and he will do that. And I think a massive part of Ten Hag's game is crossing into the box as well. And we've got one of the best headers in the game. And we like with Ronaldo, we just need to try and get some quality on the crosses into the box, and then hopefully Ronaldo will do the rest. But I really wonder where these players go with the information that they have that they don't want Ten Hag. Like, I really hope they don't actually go to the board and say this. Like, they should. Their job is to go out onto the pitch and perform, not to do the politics behind closed doors. Like, that's not what they should be doing. They shouldn't be voicing their opinion or anything. I know they should get a say, but they shouldn't make it bigger than. They shouldn't make it a decision. They should just say, look, I think I'd work best under this. Give valid reasons, not just we're all against Ten Hag and we want Pochettino. Like, it's just bratty. You just don't do that. Like, that's what we said before in the last fan forum, is just spoiled kids, like not getting what you want. They know they'll get an easy ride.
Playing for the shirt.
Yeah, that's where I go along with what Jordan said there. And is that fair that the Fletcher element to it, the former player side of in that sort of power position, would give you that, like, well, if there was one person I would look at that maybe is getting that leak or that voice of a player up there, then that would be it. And you shouldn't automatically assume that. But it's just a fear with this football club that the likes of Gary Neville, who knows Fletcher, you sort of just start putting two and two together all the time, don't you? And you're like, well, you shouldn't really be thinking like that. But that's simply because Manchester United do not put people in positions upstairs that should be in them positions. It's like the director of football. The arrogance of this football club and how it's run compared to everyone else is off the scale stupid. It really is. And in the end will be our demise. Whether or not this is the change and the whole reset this summer, well, time will tell. Going with Ten Hag as the manager to start it off for results on the pitch is definitely the way forward. But that team that walks out against Everton, Jordan, I'll start with you. We'll go from the back first. I mean, let's just say, for instance, going off what's available, we'll have De Gea in goal. Back four will be Dalot, Shaw, Varane and Maguire. For Ten Hag, starting next season, that back five, including the keeper, Jordan, where do you think changes will be made? Will they be made in the transfer market, or will they be made in players that are already within this squad that haven't had a fair shout?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping he does get the opportunity to bring some new blood in. Obviously, the one that stands out for us when you look at that is Maguire. I still think there's an opportunity of a player in there. I think given the right circumstances and some level of coaching, which he clearly didn't have under Ollie, with the pressure of that armband taken off of him so that he could just focus on his game, I still think there's an opportunity for him to be in the squad. Do I still feel like we need to bring a centre-back in? Absolutely. Varane's getting older, and obviously there's question marks over Maguire. So that's the position I would look at in the defence. There's talk about, will he fancy David De Gea because of his distribution or whatnot? But at the end of the day, he's one of the best goalkeepers in the world. And you look at the squad for what it is. There's a lot of battles that Ten Hag is going to have, and he needs to pick which fires he puts out immediately. There's talk of Ragnick saying it's going to take 3 transfer windows to make changes. But if he brings 3 or 4 bodies in the summer, then he raises 2 or 3 players' games from 5s and 6s out of 10 to 7 and 8s out of 10. Then he brings some youth in. Suddenly, you've regalvanized the squad there in one summer. So, yeah, I think he needs to pick his battles. Maguire would be the one that I think could be under pressure.
But yeah, Jordan, do you think? Sorry, Adam, just quickly. Do you think that De Gea's distribution is good enough for Ten Hag?
Like I said, it probably isn't. But what are his priorities? We know our board is limited on the amount of deals that we can do at any one time, and if we need to bring 4 players in, do we need to be looking at changing goalkeepers now?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
No,
you're on that. Everyone knows. At the start of the season, I was in the Henderson camp, and De Gea has proved his worth to me. I've said it many a times this season. But on De Gea's defence, you've got to look at the players that he's passing to, and maybe his confidence is shot as well. I mean, to be honest, if I'm passing it out to the likes of Fred and McTominay, Maguire, and the rest of the defence, I mean, Varane's one thing on his own, yeah, but that's one man. The rest of them, I really haven't got the confidence in passing the ball out to them. So distribution doesn't just go down to the man. Because I remember when De Gea came in one of his first games, I think he did a Cruyff turn on a striker in the box against Spurs. I think it was Van der Vaart, came charging in on him, and he Cruyff turned him in his 6-yard box and walked out with the ball. I know that the confidence was there with him, but that can drain as well. And everyone knows I've had issues with De Gea in the past, but I have to give him his due for this season. And when you're a goalkeeper and you're looking at what you're passing it to, there's not one man in that midfield or that defence that I'd have full faith in taking that ball that I passed him. And you know what? That can affect a goalkeeper as well. Just quickly, Kev, though, mate, you touched on number 2s before. Harry Maguire there. Jordan said there's a player still in there. We've seen the best of him. A certain Mr. Yip Yap Stam, he's out of work at the moment, mate. Could an ex-player like that, ex-player again, but he's a coach. He's a qualified coach. Come in like that hard face, no nonsense. Could get right into the likes of a Maguire and some of the other defenders we've got, maybe saving that department and really push us, like Jordan said, they'd turn these players from 6s and 5s into 7 and 8s. It's there. Maybe a little bit of a confidence booster from a voice of experience like that, who's won everything and played at the highest level with the best that United ever had, could benefit someone in defence, maybe a few of our defenders, mate.
Never mind Yap Stam trying to show Harry Maguire how to do things. Yap Stam would get in Manchester United's team ahead of Harry Maguire now, and Yap Stam's probably late 40s, early 50s.
Do what, mate? If you're not gonna argue against the man, are you, as a player?
No.
No.
There's been rumours before about Vidic as well, possibly coming in as some kind of, in some kind of coaching capacity for the defence. Jaap Stam would be an unbelievable kind of what a character. What a character to bring in at Manchester United. Somebody who, he's not going to take any crap, is he? He's more or less like the Dutch kind of Roy Keane, isn't he? You know, he's going to go in there, he'll say it as it is. And sorry, Harry Maguire, if you don't like it, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, you don't like it, even Luke Shaw to an extent. If you don't like it, then see you later. These players need to be found. They will get found out by ex-players like that have played for Manchester United. There needs to be some home truths, somebody to come in there, rip it up, come and say, what are you playing at, man? You know, do you know how privileged you are to play for this club and put that badge on? And as Holly said before, for me, it shouldn't matter who's the manager. These leaks about players, they're a bit underwhelmed by Erik ten Hag, wherever these leaks are coming from. It shouldn't matter who manages Manchester United. That has nothing to do with the players. You just represent the club.
I just had a thought of Jaap Stam on the training ground like that. Like, whistle, son, come over here a minute. I've heard you've been saying certain things. And they'd be walking over to him and he'd be like, they'd go back up with a tail between the legs.
You'd be terrified, wouldn't you?
No friends there, mate. None at all. But
it shouldn't really, like I say, as daft as this sounds, if Manchester United went totally mad, which they're capable of doing, and even appointed Sam Allardyce or Sean Dyche, none of them players really should be able to say anything. You just say, well, he's a manager. And in any job that you're in, a manager might come in and you might think, bit of a knobhead, this guy, I can't be bothered. Well, get a new job. Go and get a new job. You don't have to work there anymore. You know, you should be, you're representing Manchester United. You go out there and do the business. You do it for yourself, you do it for the fans, you do it for pride and that. I know it sounds a bit like a dinosaur saying that, but that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. It always was in the past. Players never, ever had a say in who a manager was going to be.
Unless Jaap Stam has mellowed dramatically since retirement, that is not going to end well.
Have you seen him playing that Legends game? Then the answer's a massive no straight away.
Yeah.
God. I mean, it all sounds fantastic. It all sounds brilliant. But should we just stay away completely from this ex-player sort of area in terms of this? And in terms of the defence, Holly, two-part question for you there with the ex-player thing. Defensively, is the players there that you would just bring in automatic and maybe save that money for another area of the team?
I'm not really sure because I think our fullback positions need reevaluating because looking at Ten Hag's system and how like crucial the crossing is and how crucial like
fullbacks getting forward.
Yeah, attacking is like he's a very attacking manager. So we will need like at even some points he has the centre back step forward into the two midfielders and then the rest of the team get forward. At times he has six, seven people attacking. So I think we will need as much attacking threat as possible. And I'm not sure whether our current fullbacks are attacking enough and are good enough when they do attack. They don't distribute the ball well enough. Like they don't link up well enough at the moment with the wingers that we have. I know it's very chop and change at the moment, but I just think we could do better in that aspect. I'm not sure whether it's 100% the position we need to focus on right now. I think we need a CDM more important than that because especially a CDM that can stay on solo as well because I think I'd prefer someone like Donny van der Beek in the number 8 where he can step forward and he's doesn't have to work as defensively as say McTominay and Fred have to, or even Fred sometimes playing the number 8 instead of the number 6. So I would focus on that aspect more because I don't think McTominay is strong enough to hold that position by himself without the help of someone else. I think I'm not too sure really what else we need. I think the wingers. See, I know the potential that Rashford has once had, and obviously I think Sancho would be a big player for Ten Hag. I think he could possibly bring someone in like Anthony or Tadic as well. Like they're just so creative, and I'm not sure.
I would probably leave Tadic where he is. I think his day is done. Apparently, Anthony's going to cost upwards of 80 million. So that's a big one. But In terms of the defenders, I mean, obviously, Julian Timber has been highly, highly touted and recommended. I was listening to people talking about him today. He is massively, massively appreciated by Ten Hag and the Ajax. And I think Ajax losing Ten Hag would be one thing, but losing one of their best players as well would really hurt them. And that sort of speaks volumes. That would be one player you could look at. But, I mean, Jordan, quickly on that high line that he likes to play and the forward-thinking fullbacks, like Holly said there, very true in terms of fullbacks getting forward. Do you see our fullbacks having the qualities to play that hard style and get them crosses in the box? I mean, I've not seen Shaw overlap for months, mate. Like, I mean, Dalot, I know he's got it in him, but he's not consistent enough in crossing quality. But Shaw, I've not seen get forward for a while now.
Yeah. Again, I think it goes back to what I said earlier. He just needs to pick which fires that he's going to fight. He can't fix everything in one transfer window. But I think you've got to remember the days of Roberto Carlos. He has got it in him, and a good manager can bring it out of Shaw. You then look at Telles. The reason we signed Telles is at the time he was one of the the best attacking fullbacks in the league he was in. So again, we know he has got the capabilities. Dalot potentially there's some of there. Wan-Bissaka, it just isn't him. Like, he ain't that guy. So I think he needs to pick the battles. So yeah, when I look at the defense, I think he can work with it. But for me, the body of work for a new manager coming in is in the middle of the park and the forward line at the moment, because we've got major issues. And it also comes back to it. It's all very well the fullbacks bombing on, but if that CDM isn't willing to drop back to help protect them, then it causes issues. So for me, that's the area that he needs to focus on if we are only able to bring 3, maybe 4 players in.
A lot of speculation on the midfield targets for United, Kev. Obviously, we've heard about Phillips from Leeds today, obviously Declan Rice. These are players that in a system within their club are sort of like not as free role, like Holly said, like a Donny van der Beek on his highlights reel back in Ajax was here, there and everywhere from that midfield role. I know Rice probably would do it, but it's all coming down now, Kev, to I don't care about all the names. I don't care who's being linked with us right now. I'm not taking any of it seriously because I want it to be announced that Ten Hag is the manager and it's going to be his player. Yeah. It's going to be his player. Is there anyone in that midfield you can get from a 6 and a 7 to an 8 and a 9? Because that's what we're going to need in that midfield if his system is going to work, Kev. Or is that where the money needs to be spent? Because it is reported that funds will be made, substantial funds will be made available for the next manager. Is that it there, mate? Or do you reckon there's anything salvageable in there? Garner coming in, Van der Beek coming back. Little options, but how do you go full bore first season and start investing? Or does it need time for him, like Jordan says, to actually see what he can do first? I
think the midfield area has been one for a couple of seasons where we've all scratched our head and haven't understood why even Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at that stage of bringing Sancho, Varane and Ronaldo back to United did not invest. We were all like, this could be the last sort of final piece of the jigsaw. And look where we are now. The season is coming to a close. We are, fighting for 4th place. After making them signings, even we could see that Manchester United needed to invest in this. Yeah,
we're not fighting for 4th, mate. We're hanging on for 6.
Yeah. Anything's possible with Arsenal. After that, the other night, I'm still kind of looking and thinking there's still a chance. As Ricky said the other week. Now. Yeah. For
your morning coffee, the hope will kill you.
Morning coffee, yeah.
The midfield area needs addressing. The super chat that was on before, I mean, Neves, anybody would be an upgrade on ours. Although I do maybe possibly see Erik Ten Hag looking at Fred. I'm thinking I can do something there. If I can put the right player in alongside him and keep Fred in his lane, stick to what you're good at. I'm sure there's some people saying, what is he good at? But it's about getting the blend right in the middle of the park. Fred has got legs.
What would Fred have to do in a Ten Hag setup, though? What would his role be? Because he would have to have a bit more element of control about his game rather than headless chicken. breaking up play. I know he likes to play high and obviously win the ball back, and Freddie's good at that. Yeah. Do we have to sort of say that Fred would have to be one of the forward players in this? Because he hasn't got the control and the passing ability, in my opinion, to actually run from further back in midfield. And I think we've seen the best of Fred since he has just been making a nuisance of himself in the final third. I mean, Holly, how would Fred fit in with Ten Hag? If, say, Donny van der Beek came back, you have Bruno there, would he even get in ahead of them too?
I see, even in the comments, I'm seeing a lot of Fred is good just as a press and with the energy.
Is that enough?
No, I don't think it's enough to be in a starting lineup. I think it's enough when you badly need a goal and a team are starting to tire out. Like we see a lot of interceptions from Fred now, higher up the pitch, but he is not disciplined enough to be a defensive player. He's not disciplined enough to hold the midfield by himself. We heard before, didn't we, that I can't remember what team it was now, but it was Troy Deeney, remember, for Watford. He said, we just went out and we were told to just go for Fred. He's going to make the mistake. He's going to be the one that let us in. And surely enough, he made the mistake, let them in to score. How many goals have we seen as fans that's come from a dodgy Fred pass that has led to a goal? I think he's not disciplined enough. But he is good for energy up in the pitch and a press. But like you said, Adam, that's not enough. We can't have that unless he's going to come off the bench and try and do that when we really need him to, when a team's about to tire out.
He's not a first teamer, is he?
No,
he's too erratic. He hasn't got the passing range, and ultimately across a season, he gets found out way too often. But out of him and McTominay, many times I've tried to work out, who do I fancy more, and I would definitely prefer Fred over McTominay. So if he had to replace one,
100%.
And look at the way that Garner's performing at the minute. You've got a player there that you could bring back in. He's hungry. He wants to prove himself. Perfect. You've got a new manager coming in, as we've all agreed, fresh slate. You bring in a young player like that, just starting out and you get them kind of Elanga vibes, don't you? You've got a player there, hunger, desire, is going to run through brick walls for you. Will do everything possible to get, the career started and basically off the ground. So that's what we want.
Yeah, I mean, I had that debate, Jordan, myself, in terms of Fred and McTominay many a times. I think McTominay went over Fred, and then it's like Liverpool and City fighting for the title. It's like Fred and McTominay, who's the worst at the top, just like going above each other. One would have a good spell, another would have a good spell, and just completely take over. I still think both of them need to be bench at best at this football club. They're your Phil Nevilles and your Nicky Butts. That's an insult to Nicky Butt, to be honest. I think utility players to come on when you need a bit of energy or something, when you need to get about or you're holding on to a lead. I just don't see them working in any system because the passing ability of the pair of them is nowhere near good enough. And if you do bring better forwards in, which we'll move on to next, I mean, you need the right service. I mean, Ronaldo's going to be here a year. We're talking long-term project here, Jordan, mate.
Yeah.
The centre-forward purchase is going to be a good one, going to be a big one. Or are the likes of McNeil coming through, Garnacho coming through within a couple of years, Ronaldo one more season maybe if he does stay. Yeah. Is that where we may sort of see the next start? Or do we just need to go out and buy that number 9, mate? Because that's one area we are lacking in.
Well, I think that the message that had gone out for the club for the last couple of years is, we don't want to go and sign anybody that's going to stifle Greenwood's development. We want him to progress, and he's going to be the future of the club. And obviously, given everything that's happened, there is no excuse now to not go out and to buy a number 9. Like you're saying, Cavani looks like he'll be gone, and with his injury record, it's not going to be a great miss this season. Ronaldo, we don't know how much longer he's going to be with us. So, we need to make that decision. We cannot sit back and rely and wait for somebody to come out of the youth. Someone naturally has to come out of the youth. When you force these things, you end up with some of the players that we've had in the past, your Makedas and people like that, when you're forcing somebody to come out of the youth because the squad isn't good enough. So we need to strengthen the squad and give opportunity to the youth, but not rely on it.
Not rely on it, definitely not. I mean, Kev, 2 players that touching 100 goals each for United on their records at the moment. I've heard Ten Hag talking about that physicality side of things again. Ralph Rangnick has been big on this side of it. Both Rashford and Anthony Martial don't have that for me. I don't see the combativeness in them. I don't see the fight in either player. I don't think they will put in the yards that a Ten Hag needs. And that, again, is a big issue because the wages that these two are on, I can't see anyone coming in for them or them even wanting to move. This is part of his job that he's got coming up now and how hard it's going to be because looking at Martial, it's gone completely south at Seville. Yeah. Rashford's form, we know, has fallen off a cliff. They're two players that are going to be there in the summer and going to be on that training ground that he's going to have to make another decision over because at the moment, if anything, are they in the way?
Martial, I think we could have told any Sevilla fan before he went there how that was gonna end up, and the way that Sevilla carried on about it more or less every single day. Look who's in training, he's here, and probably was a big thing for them to get Martial. But for me, it's just typical of the way that I think it just sums him up at Manchester United as well. A leopard never changes its spots. It's the exact same thing is happening there. And it's just, I was going to say, testament to Manchester United. It's just the way Manchester United is run. The money that man is on, considering I don't think he has a future at United. He's not, no way, a Ten Hag player, Martial. No way.
No. Jordan, on
just a question on Martial.
Game over.
Has anyone been on with Ricky? And what has Ricky said about that situation? He's been out to see him.
Yeah, he's not talked. He's not. Yeah, he's been and watched it. He's not talked. He's not talked about him at all since it started to go flat.
That says it already, doesn't it?
Yeah, he brought up that he has had an injury. I think he did have an injury at one point, but I think he was bullied in the Barcelona game, and I think they are well and truly out of the title race now, from what I can see. Remember, so no coincidence. Or you could say, as Ricky would bring up. It's not a coincidence that since he's been there, everything's gone Pete Tong for Seville. I mean, I don't like using Ricky's lines against him like that, but he's not here to defend himself. Martial's had a bit of a stinker, let's be honest. His only goal he's got, I think, was in the Europa League against a poor outfit, and I don't think he's done it. And the fact that he's been booed off kind of says everything you need to know about his time there. And Ten Hag's got a lot of players Rashford, that needs to be... Exactly, Kev. It's like both of them are completely out of form and earning a fortune, mate. And they're going to come in and expect things because the way they've had it so easy at the football club for so long, if it's all going to change, then there's a few little problem child players, I would say, that need putting in their lane very quickly. Otherwise, it could get difficult for him again. Yeah, as the other manager has found out, mate.
I could possibly, for my own personal opinion, I can see Rashford being one of these people that's maybe questioning the Ten Hag appointment. For me, I think, again, it tells you everything you need to know about where he is at in his career. I honestly think that if Manchester United appoint Ten Hag, there's probably United fans out there that will think, oh, he'll get the best out of Marcus Rashford. But in the words of Jordan, I think he's another player that has checked out. I see his career... his path or whatever being elsewhere, even though he's a Manchester lad and all this and that. I think he'll leave. I really do. I think he'll be one of them that is underwhelmed by the appointment of Ten Hag. Definitely.
It's crazy to think that Rashford could leave, isn't it? Though.
Yeah, you should have said this a few years ago. Yeah, you'd be
crazy. Isn't it? I mean, when we first came back from lockdown, Holly. You know what I mean? Martial, Rashford, Greenwood, we were playing the best football I've seen for a long time. And now we're talking like we don't want any of them in our team anymore within a year. That's a scary thought and shows exactly how a disruptive sort of setup and the wrong manager can detail a players. But that self-pride side of things, feet under the table, too comfort, all comes into the equation and the argument, doesn't it, Holly? And I think these two players epitomise that. And with Greenwood gone, Martial away, Rashford, we brought another striker in. We've got a lot of chefs in that kitchen, Holly. Something needs to change. And that's how you would probably see the likes of Rashford and Martial going, surely.
Yeah, like you said, Adam, them three, especially after lockdown, for us, were untouchable. And now they're untouchable for all the wrong reasons. Like, they've just had complete U-turns, every single one of them. Just... for some reasons different to others, but Rashford is completely he has completely down. He's just he's just such a different player to what he was before. We used to rely on Rashford, and Rashford would be that guy that opposition team fans and opposition teams would be worried about and would have to make special plans because of Rashford. He was so dangerous at one point, same as Martial. Martial's technical ability at one point was great, but I'm not sure what it is with them at the moment. But if they can't get to the standards we need them to be, then I'm happy for them to go, and I think everyone else is as well. If you're not performing, then you have to go. Yeah,
Jordan, forwards, Palestra, Ahmad, all coming back in summer. You've got McNeil, you've got Garnacho, Hannibal's there, Donny van der Beek in a forward position coming forward. There's a lot of players coming back that are not even playing right now that, again, Ten Hag has got to try and sift through. And this is why it's important he gets that power, because he could just chop and change everything that's been put in place before and literally show up this setup we've got at Manchester United right now and how they've actually gone out the transfer window and recruited players. He could just blow it all up. And if he's given the power, I think he would do, considering what's happened.
Yeah, he's got a clear vision on how he's going to want them to play. And this is another reason why, the board would have wanted Poch, because Poch would have fancied a lot of the players that were there. He would have wanted a Rashford. He'd want your Shaws and your Harry Maguires, and it's less of an outlay for the board. But a new manager coming in, he's going to put a lot of these players on notice. They need to be moved on. I still think there's an opportunity for Rashford under a new manager. I'm not overly convinced he will come out the other side, but I'd still like to give him another chance. Whereas for me, with Martial, the writing's on the wall. He needs to be moved on. I think the issue we've got with him is there's going to be a serious lack of takers now for him.
Yeah.
When he was at the club, before he went out on loan, I think clubs might have given him the benefit of the doubt and just said, it's just because of what's going on at Man United. But he's gone to Seville, which is a team that's very much together, playing well, hasn't been able to deliver. And you know what the press are like in Spain. You've seen what they've done to Gareth Bale. They've absolutely hammered him in the press. That spreads across Europe, and other clubs that might have looked at him will probably not want to take a risk. So in terms of value, we're going to struggle to get the money we would have got for him maybe 18 months ago.
Mm-hmm. One other thing, Kev, in terms of playoff, Ten Hag hasn't got an issue. He's not, as Ricky would say, an ageist. Obviously, he's got, I think Tadic is around about 35, isn't he? I mean, Daley Blind's 32. Mm-hmm. Nemanja Matic, out of all this, Kev, all of a sudden you've got a player there who actually does know his role and has got composure on the ball. Yeah, maybe he's not the quickest. Maybe that doesn't work. But in terms of actually using the ball, I would say he's our best midfielder in transition from the back. Could there be something rekindled there just while he finds his feet? You know what? Matic's there a year. First year of transition for Ten Hag, then look to maybe put a plan in place, try and get a system in, and then bring a midfielder in. There are tools that he can use there that are at the club right now. And I keep going back to what Jordan said. He nailed it. Can he turn them 5s and 6s into 7s and 8s? Because ultimately, that means your system is working because the players are all on board with it. And then in a year, you start bringing in players that you know are going to fit that system and how it's running at the time, and then improve it. Instead of just going, new manager, 7 signings, craziness, too many players, and it's just carnage, mate. But Matic can do a role, can he not?
He can do if he's managed properly. And I don't think he has been managed properly at Manchester United. I think there was games there's been games under even Ole Gunnar Solskjaer where you try to predict your team midweek and then you're like, what's he starting Matic for? You know he can't play 2 games in a row, let's just say. He's not going to play a Champions League game on a Wednesday and then, going to a game on a Saturday. It is not going to work. So you have to manage these players. You have to know what they can give for your team. There's no doubt, and you've just said he's our best kind of defensive midfielder. It probably has been for a few seasons. I don't think that says much about Manchester United and where we are as a midfield, but Ten Hag, if he uses him correctly, you get another season out of him. But I wouldn't like to just rely on Matic. I think he obviously has to be going into the market. But the main thing for me is the system, like you say. You look at Man City and Liverpool, they're able to take a player out, even bring somebody in from the under-21s or whatever, put them straight into that team, and they're programmed to play the same way. They don't look out of place. Where at Manchester United, it's a bit... We don't have a system, do we, a way of playing? So when we're bringing players in, it's all a bit just up in the air. It's, what do you do here? Are we playing out from the back? You've got Harry Maguire giving the ball back to De Gea. De Gea going mad at Maguire, saying, what are you giving it before there? And it's just pure sort of carnage. It's...
I was going to call you Ricky then for some reason. And I understand you're playing devil's advocate there. But if Ten Hag doesn't sign a central midfielder, regardless of who he signs, he's failed the transfer window. If we get to the season and he's relying on Matic,
he will.
I actually do. I do believe he will. I mean, what Ranić said in terms of we haven't got that profile midfielder will be ringing in his ears. Obviously, I think he will take that on.
I'm not as big a fan in Matic as Ricky, but I am a fan in the sense that he is the only player who understands the position. He can only play one game a week, but not every week is a game that suits Matic because he is naturally too slow, and any midfield that he comes up against that's got a lot of legs in it will always run past him. So for different reasons, he needs to be replaced along with Fred and McTominay.
If things go wrong from now till the end, till the 22nd of May, maybe we won't have European football, Holly, and we only have one game a week.
Yeah.
So Matic can play, but
I just don't think we should even I do like Matic, and I think he's probably the best we've got, but I don't think that we should rely on him. I really don't. I think we should get better.
I think we can utilise him.
Yeah, seeing it. I think the TV must speed players up because he's twice as slow when you watch it live at Old Trafford. He is. Yeah. It takes him about 3 minutes to turn around sometimes. It's just we can't rely on that. We really can't. I do like him, and I like what he was when he had the fitness and the speed and the agility and stuff. But he certainly hasn't got that now, and I don't think we should rely on him. I know we're not, but I just don't want to get to the point next season where we're still saying, can't Matic do a better job? No. Yeah.
I know where you're coming from, Holly, with that one. You're actually thinking Matic is good because he's playing alongside Harry Maguire. And when you see Harry Maguire turn,
oh God,
he makes Matic look like any prime sprinter, I tell you. That is something else. Yeah. But we have gone over a little bit, guys. That is the end of the show. Cheers for tuning in, everybody. All the super chats, all the comments been bang on point. I can feel a little bit more excitement in the room tonight. We may see a little bit of a future going forward. Holly, cheers for coming on again. Great comments as always.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Big shout out to the live comments as well. Really enjoyed reading them tonight. You've all been spot on, like Adam said. So see you again soon, hopefully.
Yeah, Jordan with the cool setup in the back there. Loving that one, mate. Cheers for coming on, bud.
Yeah, just want to say happy birthday to Mr. Goldbridge. Hardest working guy I know. Happy birthday, mate.
Yeah, happy birthday.
I think we'll all... Kev, happy birthday for Goldbridge and thanks for coming on. I think we'll all do our bit.
I'll drink to that. That's why I was having a few drinks tonight for Mr. Goldbridge. Happy birthday.
Right.
So.
Yeah,
It's Thursday. Come on.
It is. Everybody knows Kev has a 4-day weekend, everybody. Come on.
Any day of the week. Any day of the week that's got the word day in, Kev's on it.
Yeah.
That's how I work.
That's the one. Happy birthday to Mark. Many happy returns and everybody. Thanks for tuning in. As always, we move forward. I will see you tomorrow for the press conference. I will see you on Saturday for the Everton game. I will see you on Sunday for the Sunday show. Well, it's going to be a busy one, let's say that. And we'll talk more about Everton probably tomorrow because that brings its issues itself. So let's save that for another show. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Do share the video, like the video, and subscribe to United Stand, bottom right-hand corner there. For now, have a good evening, everybody, and have a great weekend. Hopefully, the Reds can bring home the 3 points as well this weekend and make it a decent week. But cheers for watching.